Judith Joyce, Director of Yosin's Environmental Division, please. Welcome.
All right. Everyone hear me okay? Full disclosure, I'm a geomorphologist. I have spent pretty much my whole life in the dirt and in the water, and it really is my passion, and I hope some of that comes through today. I enjoy giving presentations, but it also makes me extremely nervous. So I find that if I talk about myself, that sort of calms me down. So I'm going to show you my vacation photos from last year. Okay. Last year, I went to Southeast Vietnam in Nha Trang. I was fortunate enough to spend 3 weeks with a good friend of mine who had immigrated from Vietnam when she was 16, and I got to stay with their family. It was a complete immersive experience. It was the first time I had been anywhere where English was not everybody's first language. So the fact that I enjoy talking, I didn't really talk very much there. And that was actually nice because I got to listen and to watch. And one of the things that kind of struck me was the diversity within some of their neighborhoods. This is a photograph of basically the neighborhood we stayed in. We just stayed a couple blocks over. In this area, people's typically own land that their families have owned for generations, and then they will upgrade houses as they can. So some people have, again, my friend was born in the same house that her dad and her grandmother were born in. And I said, well, what about your great-grandmother? She goes, we were always here. I don't know. They were always there. And they really had a connection to that community. They all worked together. They all got up at the same time. They all ate together. Like everybody in the whole village, the whole area, and this is a big city, all got up at the same time. And what they would do is every morning they would go to the beach. And they would go before sunrise and they would walk down. Some people would bury themselves in sand. Some of them would float. If there were jellyfish in the area, people would come in a little bit, try to avoid the jellyfish. And they would exercise. And there were women who did different dance routines. And this was all ages, kids to elderly, helping each other get around and experience this. This wasn't a community event. This wasn't something the city put on. This is something that people did every day. And that sense of community and that connection to place, it really hit me. Like, I was just like, I don't have that where I live. So I want to talk about this connection to place and how water can help bring that connection to place, that gathering place, that place where you connect with your community. Okay, there we are. So I started looking at some, oops, let's go back. I just do this. How do I go back? Sorry. There we are. I started looking at some old photos around the Mississippi River and of people playing in the water or gathering in the water. And I love these photos. This is a hot day, I'm guessing, and the women are down there hanging out with the younger kids. You have pictures on the bottom left, I guess, is boys playing in the Mississippi River. How many kids do you see playing in the Mississippi River or the Missouri River nowadays like this? Hanging out in the water. This was a place when it was hot, everybody gathered by the water. When you needed to do laundry, everybody gathered by the water. When you needed food, you went to the water for food. And again, that built that community. This is where people gathered every day. And I think about how that's changed in our life. We get our water from the tap. We get our fish from the freezer section. We do our laundry at home in the comfort of our home. And when we cool off, we turn on the air conditioning. It's very solitary. It's very alone. It's very independent. And developing that sense of place in your community is sort of missing. So where are we getting, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Where are we getting that sense of space? You can tell I'm a kid of the 70s. Technology's not liking me. Something? Is there a way I can just? Okay, so kid of the 70s. So I started thinking about when did I have a sense of place? And this is, I remember when I was growing up, roller skating down the street, going to the local pond and going fishing, hanging out with the local neighbors, having that again, that sense of community. I grew up in Northeast Minneapolis. It was a low-income neighborhood, small little ranch houses next to apartments, very dense, urban. And I would take my bike and I would go about a mile and a half or so, and I'd find the local bridge, and I would go onto the bridge and I'd fish for bullheads and turtles and look for snakes and crayfish and hang out with my siblings and my friends. In my teenage years, I would go to Palmer Lake, which is a large marsh, and I would write my angsty poetry and draw pictures and talk about how adults don't know how to do anything and why don't they see the answers that I see. And I started thinking I did have a sense of place growing up, and that sense of place was a connection with water. And that's probably why I have a connection with water today and why it's so important to me. So again, this connection to place. So I'm from Iowa. I didn't admit that at the beginning, but I have been, most of my adult life, I've been working in Iowa. And when you think about Iowa, you tend to think about two things, pigs and corn, because we have a lot of pigs and corn. But we also have a lot of streams. Matter of fact, we have 27,000 miles of perennial streams. And that doesn't include intermittent streams or ephemeral streams. So we have a lot of water, and almost every community has a stream going through it. And it's all connected. It all goes to the Missouri or the Mississippi River. However, access to those waters is very difficult. There's a lot of trash. A lot of times these rivers in urban environments are hidden. They're considered a place of hazard, unsafe, unsavory even. They're places with flooding occurs. And our water quality is not great in Iowa. Iowa leads in, I think is one of the leaders in cancer right now. It's one of the latest studies coming out. And about 22% of our water is not impaired. Not impaired, 22%. On top of that, only 2% of our land is in public and has public access. So if you're looking at trying to connect to water, it's very hard. We don't have places where people can go, especially people who maybe don't have transportation or don't have great transportation and don't own land. So again, if we look at, our underserved communities, having them have access to water, how do we develop that connection to place? How do we develop that connection to water? So I thought about this and I said, well, where can we find an opportunity to bring this to light and to find a way to connect people? And I thought about, well, the most beautiful place in Iowa is the Driftless area. This is where we see rock, topography, hills. There's breweries up in Northeast Iowa. There's trails, trout fishing. And so I looked at the watershed around Dyersville. And for those of you that don't know, Dyersville is home of the Field of Dreams. And the Field of Dreams has national and international attention. Major League Baseball is involved with the Field of Dreams. All your politicians are involved in the Field of Dreams. Anytime there's a caucus going on, every politician comes out and throws out a baseball. And when the Japanese ambassadors come in, they want to throw out a baseball in the Field of Dreams. So I thought, well, what if we use the Field of Dreams as a way to bring people's attention to water? And let's call this the Field of Dreams watershed. That started getting people's attention. And the city of Dyersville is a town that floods a lot. What you're seeing here, the city is pretty much in the center of the screen. It's almost all in the floodway or floodplain. And I asked the manager, what is this community's relationship with the stream? And they said, well, when it's flooding, those streams scream at us. People are calling, they're all worried, their basements are flooding, the roads are this, they're cleaning up the Basilica parking lot, they just don't know what to do. And I said, well, what does it do when it's not flooding? What's it like when it's normal? And they said, well, when it's normal, it's ignored. They block it off. They hide it behind rock and debris and brush and weeds. And so I thought, let's start bringing people back to the water. Let's bring this stream to the front in normal flows. So we wanted to make Dyersville a poster child for water in Iowa. I'm going to speed up here. Here's the creek we looked at first, Bear Creek. This is in a park, but you wouldn't know it because it was completely hidden by junk and rock. And so getting into the creek was very treacherous, only for the adventurous, is what I used to say. This is what it looks like in aerial view. You can see the trail lovely acts as a barrier to the creek. You don't go to the other side of the trail because that's where the creek is, that's where the rock is. And so we connected the floodplain, and thus we connected people to it. We changed the banks, we vegetated it, and this is what it looks like today, so that we actually changed the trail that would actually bring you closer to the creek. And what I love about this is we had a camera on, and I would see strollers sitting on the sidewalk. And I'm like, why are there strollers on the sidewalk? It's because mom would leave the stroller and the kids and mom would be in the stream. And they're interacting and they're playing and they're learning and they're getting a connection with water. And now they want every creek in Dyersville to have access like this, not just this one here. That's just a sign. We had a conference here. We brought in buses and had people look at it. And not only did we have them look at the stream, but we arranged a tour with the local restaurants in town. And we interviewed them and said, what's your connection to water? And the brewer guy says, well, water is everything when it comes to beer. Not only that, but he actually makes a rye beer made from annual rye and this connection to water. So the business community started embracing this and loved this idea that we brought two bus loads of people to their small town of 5,000 to use their restaurants and to visit and to tell people about it and to build that sense of place. So we use this creek to then develop a vision plan. And my vision is that this will be the one town in Iowa where parents can take their kids into the creek and not be afraid. That's it, just a small little vision. And so looking at the town and what sort of improvements can we do to water and letting the city know that every project they do in the city is a water project. That was very important. We got some additional funding for a stormwater wetland, which we had a tour on. We're looking at, this is the Field of Dreams, and Hewitt Creek goes right by the Field of Dreams. And so we're looking at doing a Field of Dreams water trail that will take people from the Field of Dreams to downtown. Again, bring people into the community, develop that sense of place. We're also looking at doing a float park This would be a place where your 4-year-old can go on an inner tube and go floating down the river a bit, get out on the side, and then take their inner tube back up and float down again. So a lazy river through town with natural splash pads, which they love because they were trying to get a splash pad at their water or pool center. So that worked out where we're looking at doing that. So again, building this connection of place through water. And now our moment of Zen. I think we can build a connection to place, to the community, where, like we say in Dyersville, if you build it, they will come. It'll connect our children, our family, to our growers and our producers, to the community around us. I think that might be it. So if you build it, they'll come. Thank you.